Hello and welcome to Digital Goulash. My name is Chucky and today we're going to go over the next four tools in our toolbox in Photoshop Elements. Let's go ahead and dive right in because I have a lot to cover. The first one is the rectangular marquee tool here, and you can see that's the M on your keyboard. If you click and hold, you can see that there's an elliptical marquee. I'll cover both of those. Now what are these useful for? Okay, I can go ahead and I can select a 5 by 7. How did I do that? Under our options bar, I'm on fixed ratio right now. So if I wanted to see what a 5 by 7 looks like, and I wanted to go print that out as a 5 by 7, I could do it this way. We could also use the crop, but sometimes I just like using this right here as just kind of a quick guide. And then if I wanted to go and crop that, I would go under image, and then I would go crop like that. So let's go ahead and do Command Z. That's our friend right there. Maybe I wanted to see what an 8 by 10 looks like. I could change this to 8 by 10. I could drag the marquee here and I could see what an 8 by 10 looks like. I could also use fixed size. Maybe I wanted to have a 5-inch, and you have to put the IN, 5-inch by 7-inch photo right there. So I'm going to click on that. That is exactly 5 inches by 7 inches right there. It's not a ratio, but it's an actual 5-inch by 7-inch photo. So that's another thing you can use, fixed size. Maybe you want to create a background, 1024 by 768. We need to get it off of inches, and we need to put in pixels because it's not smart enough to do it on its own. So let's go ahead and 1024 pixels by 768 pixels. And this is one way that you can actually make a wallpaper. And there we go, 1024 by 768. Or you could just use the normal where you can go in and create a rectangular marquee of any size. Now, how is this useful? Well, one way we could do this is we could take and use the edit, and we could use stroke. And what the stroke is going to do is it's going to put a line either outside or inside of this marquee. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to change this to white. There we go, we have white right there. And I'm going to take one to the inside. It's white, and I select OK. And let's go ahead and do Control D, and as you can see, it made a white stroke. And if we make this a little larger by going to Control Plus, you can see that it stroked inside there. Now, what is this good for? I'm not sure, but I'm just going over the tools right now. Okay, let's go ahead and do our Control Z right there. That goes back, and then do a Control D, and that's going to undo that. Control Z, and then Control D is going to get rid of our marching ants. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the ellipse tool, elliptical marquee tool. You can do kind of the same thing right there, and you can make an ellipse. Maybe you want to cut something out. We can go ahead and do our famous Command J or Control J there, and let me turn off one of the eyeballs, and there we go. We've made an ellipse. Now if you wanted to Control Z, undo that. Control D gets rid of the marching ants. If you wanted to make a perfect circle, you could hold down the Shift key, make a perfect circle, and there we have it. Control D again gets rid of the marching ants. So that's something that might be useful to you someday if you want to make a circle or a square, or if you wanted to stroke inside an image. A lot of times people tell me, well, how do you make a circle on a picture? Well, we could take and make a new layer here. Makes a new layer right there. I could hold the Shift key down and make a circle like that, and then I could go to Edit, Stroke to the inside, and maybe I'll stroke it 10 pixels, and select OK. Command D, there is our perfect circle. And if I wanted to move that, remember our Move tool, I could move that, and then put it right there. So what is it useful for? I'm not sure. I always seem to manage to use it somehow. Alright, let's go ahead and go to the next tool. And let's cover one other thing. You can also feather this. That is just kind of making a soft edge to this. So you can feather it, and you could also anti-alias just means it smooths the round part out. So next thing we're going to cover is the lasso tool, which is the L. Underneath the lasso tool we have the lasso, magnetic, and polygon. The lasso tool is just kind of a freehand thing. Let me go ahead and show you. If I wanted to draw around her mouth, and all the way and connect it, there we go. And that is a freehand of her mouth. Didn't do a very good job, but if I'm selecting that, that is a freehand lasso. Now once again, anything inside the marching ants will be affected when you go to the enhance. So if I wanted to enhance the color and I wanted to adjust the hue and saturation here, I wanted to super saturate that, as you can see, it's only affecting what's on the inside. Now of course, I need to give credit to the Code Poet. I always use his photo. It's an awesome photo here. So if you're looking for some good pictures, go check out the Code Poet on Flickr. Now, Command D gets rid of the ants. Let's show you the next one. Okay, the next tool that we're going to cover is the magnetic lasso. The magnetic lasso works just as it says. It's kind of like a magnet, and it tries to go along and select things using the contrast between two items. So let's say I wanted to select her fingers. I could drop a marker every once in a while, and I could go along the contrasty edge of her fingers right there, and as you can see, it's kind of magnetizing to her hand. It's doing a fairly good job of it. I'm just going to do it like this, and let's go ahead and go all the way around. Didn't do too well on her ring, but let me just show you. There we go. Oops. Alright, there we go. Now, let's go ahead and do the Command J, make a new layer there, and let's turn this eyeball off, and let's see how much I selected. Not bad. You could go back in there and clean this up just by going in and erasing, but Control Z, take that back right there. That is the magnetic lasso tool. Hit Command D or Control D and that gets rid of the ants. Now, the polygon lasso tool is for you that want to do it the rubber band way, and that is that you can drop markers, and as you can see, it kind of provides the rubber band effect, and you have to drop markers. The only problem is it's not very round. It's very squarish. So if you have anything that has any kind of round arcs to it, you're not going to be able to do a very good job unless you drop lots and lots and lots of markers on here and try to trace around somebody's arm or something like that. So you might be better off using the magnetic lasso tool in something like this. But I'll go ahead and finish this up just really quickly, and you can see that on the polygon lasso tool, it's usually meant for things that are a little bit more square right there. Let's go ahead and do a Command J. Let's go ahead and look at it, and there we have it. Not a very good job, but that is the polygon lasso. Do a Command Z or Control Z, and a Control D gets rid of my marching ant. So there are our magnetic lasso, polygon lasso, and our freehand lasso. Now why is it that we want to use that? Maybe you want to cut somebody's eye out, or maybe you wanted to cut some person out of a picture. That's one way that you could go and you could select it. Alright, the next thing that we have is the Magic Wand tool. The Magic Wand tool is pretty nice. As you can see in here, there's a bunch of options right there. You can use the Magic Wand tool on multiple layers right here. And how it works is we click on a pixel and it tries to find the same color along that that are touching. That would be the contiguous. Anything that's touching this blue right there, it's going to find something that is similar in color. Now the tolerance is 32. If I jump that tolerance to 50, it will pick more blue. As you can see, there's no little jagged lines in there. If I uncheck contiguous and click it, it's going to pick blue that's on the other side because it's not touching. And if I just keep increasing that tolerance to something like 75 maybe, and I clicked it, you can see that it's going to start adding more and more and more colors. See, as you can see, it's starting to pick colors that are similar to the blue. I like to keep it around 32 because that is the default, and when I'm doing this, depends on whether or not I want something picked. I'll either pick contiguous or I'll uncheck it depending upon what I want to have selected. Now, Once you have it selected, you can always refine your edge by smoothing things out or feathering it, depending upon what you want to do, and I'll cover that in a later lesson. But for right now, that is your magic wand tool. Okay, let's go to the last one here, and that is our magic selection brush here. If you click and hold it, you can see that it's actually called the Quick Selection Brush and the Selection Brush tool. The Quick Selection Brush, let's go ahead and do a Command D. That works by clicking and holding and dragging around an object, and what it does is it tries to find the same thing. It uses the tolerance of the magic wand, and it tries to find the same color. So I just selected her lips right there using the quick selection tool. If I wanted to add to that right there, you can see there's a plus and there's a minus. So maybe I wanted to add her eyes right there. It doesn't have to be the same color. I could just go over here, and I'm on the plus right now. So if I click on her eyes right there, it will add to the selection. I can go here and click her other eye, and if I want to do a Command J, I'll go ahead and add her eyes and lips on a new layer. Looks kind of creepy there, but that's how that works. Let's go ahead and do a Command Z and a Command D to get rid of the ants. So that is your quick selection tool. The next one is the selection brush tool. Maybe I wanted to brush a selection. I could go in here and use a brush and just kind of paint and try to select her mouth right there and just kind of paint with it, and that makes a little selection right there. Now, doesn't do a very good job allowing you to see the whole thing, so you can switch this option right up here from selection to mask, and you can really see how it works right there. And this is kind of a cheater method of being able to get to your mask tool, just like in the full version of Photoshop. There is the hidden mask feature. Now in Photoshop, it has its own little mask icon right here. In the Photoshop Elements, you have to select this selection brush tool and you have to go into mask mode. Now how do you add and subtract to this mask? You go up here. One of these is subtract from selection and one of them is add to selection. What you do is you go in here and you paint with it. Like right now, that is subtracting from selection. So if I paint right there, it subtracts from my selection. If I click on this one, it adds to my selection right there. So I could go in here and really refine my selection using the mask tool. Alright, I know I covered those pretty quickly, but that is the elliptical marquee tool. It is the rectangular marquee tool hidden under there as well. You've got all of your lassos, your magic wand, and then your quick selection tool and your selection brush tool. Now, one of the reasons I'm not going into detail with these is because I use these tools in other tutorials, and it really goes in depth on how you can use those. I'm just kind of showing you briefly an overview of what you can do with those. This is Chucky from Digital Goulash. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my videos and stay tuned for part 3, where I go on to a couple more tools in the toolbar. Cheers!